The first negotiation tactic. Ano yung mga tactic na pwedeng gamitin? This one is very powerful. Framing. Alright? Yung kanina yung principles, meaning planning in terms of planning. This one naman is negotiation tactic. What you can do there when you're talking to the other party. This one is powerful because what is framing? Framing is letting your customer see the gains versus the loss. Now, let's learn deeper what is negotiation really about before I give you tips on how to, what are the principles and what are the tactics. There are two types of negotiation. The number one is adversarial or positional. Here's the most common paradigm on negotiation. Wherein we think it's really about me winning and you losing. My position, not your position. You know what? Let me have this short story. I did conduct a training for one of the biggest real estate company, and the CEO was there. Yeah, he's around 70 years old, very accomplished guy, but he was open to learning. So we had this conversation. I was doing the workshop, but he was very open. I told him there are two types of negotiation. One is adversarial. The number two is interest-based or principled. Interest-based or principled is about really knowing what value would like the other party would like to attain. It's really about exploring the interest, win-win. Now, he told me a story wherein how he negotiates. He always negotiates by somehow bending the elbow of the person so that he can get the deal done. So I have to ask him this question. He's 70 years old, the CEO. Would you think would you leave a legacy to the other party? Would you think they would talk about you positively? Won't you lose any other opportunity if you will have that kind of reputation? You know what? He opened his eyes. He said, let me try this one. Maybe I can have more opportunities, more people talking to me. That's how the impact of two negotiation types. You can either go positional or interest-based. Now, I'm not saying that you go always interest-based, but that's the best option. There are some unique situations that you have to really position yourself. All right? But these are the two differences. If you are more into the interest-based, you protect the business relationship, you protect the personal relationship with the other party. And of course, you protect your reputation. Now, with these two negotiation types, we have four outcomes. The first one is lose-lose. When we say outcome, what's the result? After hours or days of negotiation, lose-lose, example, there's a labor strike. Employer loses, employee loses. Win-lose. What's the example? You bought a product that is defective and you cannot return it. That's win-lose. Win-win. Example, you filed a loan to a bank and then he gave you the loan and you are okay with the interest. So both of you are in a win-win situation. All right? Like in Olern, if you invest on their trainings, they have one of the best facilitators. You spend money, you invest on training, a specific amount, and then you get the learning. Then it benefits your business. It's a win-win situation. So what's the last one? It's the no result. What do we mean by that? For example, you're trying to buy a car, and then the price of the car is not something that you can afford. So you can just walk away from that situation. So these are the four usual outcomes from negotiation. Now, so far so good. We have, let's explore what's the difference between sales and negotiation. Most often, again, there lies the confusion. Because there's a thin line difference between sales process and the negotiation process. There's a thin line. And actually, it's a continuum most times. The sales process, if you try to understand, is more activities that are devoted to uncovering the needs, positioning your solution, and it's really about communicating your clear and compelling value proposition, and somehow you're trying to ask at the end of the sales process, after discussing the products, the buy-in, would you be able to consider getting our services or products? You understand? That's the sales process. Now, depending on the situation, they may continue to the other side, the negotiation process. There, you now talk about credit terms. You now talk about what do we offer as an extra. The customer might ask from you additional terms, additional services. That's where negotiation lies. And at the end of the day, your objective is to have a mutually beneficial agreement that will keep your customer for a long term. Of course, you're going to have to work hard on doing that. Here's the first example of a negotiation principle. We call it the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. In short, ang tawag dyan is BANA. Alright? So, specific example. We in Cycle House, we tried to, we were exploring, we're talking to, with a specific manufacturer of importing 2 million worth of bikes exclusive to us. So I was talking to my marketing. I told him, what if they won't allow us? What if they don't want to have that exclusivity? So here's the first principle. Before you go into a negotiation table or situation, this is a real case, by the way. Before we talk to the owners of that manufacturer, we already have two options in mind. So somehow, we know if we can continue with the deal or we can walk out of the deal. The first option, just in case they don't provide us that 2 million worth of exclusive bikes, the first option is just market a wide range of bikes. Option 1. Option 2, heavily market our own brand. So later on, I'll tell you the importance of that. Now, if you are a seller, in terms of applying this principle, BANA, here's a specific example again. I was actually the customer here. And in this case, an agency was trying to sell 25 million worth of services. I was working in corporate, so they were trying to provide events and promotion collaterals. Now, again, in the position of the seller, if they don't get the deal with me, their options are, number 1, offer other services just in case they don't like the specific project. Number 2, pursue other high potential big ticket customers. Meaning, what is BANA? BANA involves knowing what you will or won't do if an agreement isn't reached. It's very important to do that planning, because at the end of the day, when you negotiate, you don't have full control over the other party. And the most that you can do is to have less to lose. All right? So you're more relaxed if you know you have a game plan, just in case the negotiation will fall apart. Number 2, it will help you gauge when to walk away and when a deal makes sense, because somehow you're weighing the pros and cons because you have other options. All right? That's the first negotiation principle. We actually have 3 more, but we only have 30 minutes to discuss all of them, right? We cannot discuss all of them. So again, the first principle of negotiation is BANA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, which Uri and Fisher came up with. All right? So try to now apply or think about how will you apply that in your business. Actually, most of the time, we are doing that, but we are just unaware that we're doing that. But if you will come up with a stronger BANA, believe me, you will have better success in terms of getting what you want. Second tactic, the first negotiation tactic. Ano yung mga tactic na pwedeng gamitin? This one is very powerful. Framing. All right? Yung kanina yung principles, meaning planning in terms of planning. This one naman is negotiation tactic. What you can do there when you're talking to the other party. This one is powerful because what is framing? Framing is letting your customer see the gains versus the loss. Di ba? So, example, you're trying to sell this item. He mentions, mas mahal yan. It's also available in others. You want to frame him, meaning you let him focus on the positive. Ano yun? You can either go, well, the product is now here, available. You don't want to waste your time going to the other store. You will lose time, effort. Sir, ang difference lang naman, itong X amount lang. So that's framing. That's a very powerful negotiation tactic. I hope you try that when you get back to your business. Framing. Now, I'm down to my last slide. You know what? Negotiation is really about the heart. People would like, always remember that people would like to negotiate with someone who's very open, who's very flexible, who talks sense, who's very reasonable. So I would like to encourage you, when you do that negotiation, try to be flexible in achieving your goal. Meaning, negotiating means coming up with an option after option after options. All right? Now, quick review before we close it. Quick review before we close it. What did we walk through? First one is what's the benefit, what's the power of negotiation in terms of winning customers. Again, it's about relationship building. If you're open to negotiation, most of the time, your customers would like to deal with you. They always say that, lalo ng mga Filipino, kaibigan ko yung may-ari niyan. Kaibigan ko yung may-ari niyan, nakakausap ko yan. You will always be the preferred business for them. So, ayan, yan ang benefit. Number 2, we talk about how important negotiation in terms of different setup, di ba? Number 1, pwedeng yung law enforcement. Number 2, yung daily life, yung sa ating mga kids, sa ating mga parents, sa ating mga boss, di ba? That's the second setup. Number 3, wherein we focus on this 30-minute session is the selling situation. All right? So far, so good? Di-review lang natin before I ask from you what would be your 1 or 2 learnings from this session. All right? Ano pa ba natutunan natin? We also talk about 2 negotiation types, di ba? Adversarial, and the other one is interest-based. As I have mentioned to you, I have stories after stories. If you are always more of interest-based, listening to the other party, long-term, your business will be good. Alam mo, you know what? The biggest empire here in the Philippines, the owner, I got the chance to report from her. She's very open. That's what I noticed as a leader. By the way, negotiation is a critical leadership skill that leaders must have. They must always be open to negotiate with their employees in terms of productivity, values, assignments, or whatever. All right? So, interest-based and positional. Then the outcomes, win-lose, win-win, no result, right? Yun yung mga yun yung mga outcomes that we can arrive of. Of course, as much as possible, you try to arrive on a win-win. By the way, let's be realistic. Did I ever close the door in terms of walking away from a deal? The answer is yes. Try to remember this one before I close this. Don't deal with someone who has no integrity, someone who is not honest. Because whatever you do, monkeys will always be monkeys. All right? Do not try to deal with them because it's not worth your time. All right? So, those were the negotiation outcome. And then, ano pa ba yung what we have learned from this session? It's the BANA again, very important. Before you go to the negotiating table, we always do that naman, diba? When we were asking something from our parents, we already have options. Here in business, it's most crucial. What would happen just in case you don't get that deal? What are your options? In that way, you would be prepared on how you should approach the situation. You would gauge if you're okay to grab the deal or simply walk away. All right, so that's BATNA. And we have run through that one tactic, framing, wherein you let the customer focus on the positive and then telling him what he would lose. By the way, there's a lot of tactics. Principles, may 4. Tactics, there's a lot more. So please contact Mr. Jerry Ila of Olern just in case you're interested to know more about negotiation. Tactics and dami, like bundling, coming out with an objective proof about your product. There's a lot more. I would like to talk to you about this in the workshop and how we can apply it. All right? So let me leave you with this thought probably. I learned this from one of the #1 executive coach. And he said that it's very important that you should try to listen to the other party. But for me, this is how I would package it. Your blessings will really open up in your life if you just help people get what they want. Did you get that? Blessings will open up in your life if you just help people get what they want. So in negotiating, try to consider what the other people wants. Then somehow, the beauty of the blessing of life will come flowing through. All right? Now, 1 or 2 learnings. All right, so please share. If you're in FB, if you're in YouTube, what are the 1 to 2 learning that you like the most from this 30-minute session? Please share. Do not be afraid. And then always remember that 1% improvement every day, day in, day out, for 12 years, you can have a best version of yourself for 37 times. All right? So again, share your learnings. So na-share na ba? Nakikita ba yung mga learnings natin dyan? Is everyone sharing their learnings? Very good, very good. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this 30-minute session about negotiation. And I hope you can find time to register to Olern. Try to find out what are their learnings. They have a lot of online learnings. They have a lot of classroom learning. And again, please continue to invest in learning. Because without learning, there will be no changes, as Sir Jerry Ilaw mentioned. Again, this is Jeff Chua. Thank you again for listening for the last 30 minutes or so. And please negotiate with your customers, negotiate with your loved ones, and always remember, blessings will open up if you help people get what they want. This is Jeff Chua again, talking about the power of negotiation to win customers. Thank you again.